everyone, I am Rewa, Senior Park Aide in Interpretation at Wild Ranch, and I'm joining you for another installment of A Hard Day's Work at the Ranch, where we're going to get to explore this Gothic Revival farmhouse that you find me in. We're going to take a moment to allow our viewers to join in, and in the meantime, let me give you some quick updates about the status of California state parks and Wilder Ranch State Park in particular right now during the coronavirus. So you may be aware we're taking all possible precautions in order to take care of our visitors, volunteers, and staff, which means that we've temporarily closed the visitor center, the parking lot, our campground, and we've ceased our in-person programs and tours. Which is why it's really awesome that we're getting to connect with you through Facebook Live and through this digital format so that we can continue bringing you our public lands to you right in your own home. So thank you so much for joining me for this tour. What you may also be aware of is that our trails are open at this time. So if you do come out, once it stops raining, to enjoy some fresh air at the state parks, please keep in mind the guidelines that have been published by California state parks in order to keep everyone safe. So those include bringing soap so you can wash your hands frequently, using hand sanitizer, staying 6 feet away from other park users, not gathering in groups of larger than 10, and also staying home if you're sick. So those are 5 ways that you can help keep Wilder Ranch State Park a safe place to be. So thank you for participating in that way. I'm really excited to be joining you from Wilder Ranch State Park today. Hi to everyone who is just logging on. My name is Rewa and I'm a senior park aide here at Wilder Ranch. Wilder Ranch is located on the Northern California coast, just outside the city of Santa Cruz, just above the Monterey Bay. It's normally quite sunny here, but today we're having pouring rain. And while I was out there roving the trails in the rain this morning, there were a lot of awesome wildlife sightings. Right off the bat, I saw a great egret, one of the large white egrets. I saw about 20 sea lions, saw a lot of song sparrows that were sounding absolutely beautiful. I saw 2 snails, and get this, I saw 582 earthworms. I know. Amazing, right? They sure love the rain. That's 201 more than I saw last week on our last rainy Sunday. So here at Wilder Ranch State Park on the stormy Northern California coast, the earthworms are loving it, we're loving it, the wildflowers are soaking it up, and we're really excited that you're getting to join us here inside the cozy 1859 Gothic Revival farmhouse. So we can stay sheltered from the rain outside and get to explore what really made this thriving dairy ranch tick, and especially what was some of the hidden labor behind the scenes that kept this place functioning and kept everyone clothed and fed and well. So as we go, please type in your questions, type in your comments. I'm joined today, as you can see, by our lead interpreter, Sky, who's going to be answering your questions in text format too. So keep engaging with us throughout. And I think we're about ready to get started. So, as we start out, at the beginning of all our tours, we want to take a moment to recognize that here at Wilder Ranch State Park, we are on native land. Right now I'm standing on the ancestral homeland of the Awaswas-speaking Weepy people. And we take a moment to pay respect to the elders past and present who have been stewarding this land through the generations. And as guests here, we note that we have a responsibility to be good stewards of this place and learn how to take care of it. One of my favorite things about working with California state parks is the moments where I get to interact with members of the public, such as yourselves, who seem to be continually curious about learning about where you find yourself, who are interested in considering the histories of displacement and diaspora that bring each of us to where we are now, and who are already forming really special relationships with the places that you find yourselves that seem to be inspiring this sense of wanting to take care of these places and learn how to be good stewards. The love that I see in our community for Wilder Ranch State Park is enormous. So thank you for being a part of that, whether from near or from far. And wherever you find yourself right now, I invite you to extend that sense of stewardship, because every corner park and every neighborhood block also deserves that kind of love and care. So where you find me right now is on the cultural preserve at Wilder Ranch, which is a designation that we've created in order to help protect all of these historic buildings. Right now we're inside the 1859 Gothic Revival farmhouse that dates from the early years when this first became a dairy ranch. And I have a photo here for you of the Wilder Ranch, right there with the 300 head of Holstein cattle. So by the late 1800s, early 1900s, this ranch had come into the possession of the Wilder family. And so we're seeing this house staged not as it was when it was built by Moses Meader, but a little bit later when D.D. Wilder and his family lived here. And specifically, we're going to be exploring not the work that was required in the dairy ranch per se, but the work that was required at home. So we're kind of turning the camera inwards. And we're going to be looking for what kind of labor really made this place run. And specifically, we're going to head into the room right next door. So I'll walk you through this kitchen, and I'll let you take a look around this room for a moment and see if you can guess, based on what you see, what it was used for. And go ahead and write your guesses into the comments. Let us know what you think this room might have been used for. There are a lot of curious things on the walls. Any ideas what kind of room this was? All right, well, bring you back. Perhaps at this point you've guessed it. This was the laundry room. And I know laundry doesn't normally get the spotlight of fame shined on it very often, but that's what we're going to do today, because you can bet the person who worked in this room, their labor was crucial to the survival of everyone on this ranch and making sure everyone was clothed. What you'll notice if you explore this ranch house a little bit more is that there aren't any closets, because people didn't have that much clothing at the time. Each bedroom only has a couple of hooks hanging on the wall where you could hang your clothes, because clothing was expensive or it took a long time to make. And so what you had was something that was really valuable to you and that you needed to take good care of, which included washing it carefully on a regular basis. And so that's what happened in this room here. Let's see. All right, so, almost lost you there. Stay with me, folks. That was a close one. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So, what we're going to be doing today is looking up close at the laundry process. Now, I know you're all familiar with laundry. You all do it at your own homes, but let me tell you, this is nothing like Victorian-era laundry. So, I'm going to walk you through the process. It's going to take 10 steps. We'll see if I can even remember them all. There's so much going on. And I think let's dive in. If you have questions as we go, please type them in so that we can see what your comments and questions are. Okay, so step one. Are you ready? First, we have to grab our basins. Okay, those are probably stored outside in the shed. So you would go and you'd grab all the basins. You'd probably bring them out to the porch right out here, but if it was pouring with rain like it is today, you'd bring them in here into this enclosed patio. Okay, step two is you're going to need to fill your basins with hot water, right? Okay, so where do we get the hot water? We can't just turn on the hot tap, you have to light a fire. So really, you have to start several hours earlier building a fire in the stove, probably right in that kitchen where we started out. And it would take at least 2 hours for that fire to get up to temperature so that you could boil water. Then you would heave those heavy buckets of water, pour them into your basins, and you're ready to get started. Okay, step 3 is you're going to grab some soap. I'll grab some off the shelf here. And you would grate your soap into the water to get a good froth going. Now, a lot of families made their own soap, which you could do by creating lye and rendering tallow, which is mutton or beef fat, which they might have had a lot of here on a dairy ranch. Or else, if you didn't create your own, you could buy some soap, some bars of soap at the store, or you might even be able to find some pre-made soap flakes. That's really nice. And it's also starting to look a little bit like our modern day laundry detergent, isn't it? All right, that was step 3. Okay, step 4, we're gonna throw all our garments into the water, right? But first, you have to separate out the garments. Maybe you did this the night before. You would have taken all the outer garments, done the mending that you needed to do, and then you wouldn't throw those in the water. You would actually need to spot clean those because maybe they were made of silk or muslin, these really special fabrics with vibrant colors that needed to be preserved. So they couldn't go through the harsh laundry process. You would need to spot clean them or even just brush off the dirt. Now, laundry manuals at the time would have had a myriad of different methods for spot cleaning and taking out stains. You can bet you might have needed clay or chalk or magnesia. Some of them called for gasoline or gin or turpentine, all sorts of different things to pull out those stains. All right, so that was the outer garments. Then you would have the body linens. What was called body linens were all of the clothes that you wore underneath your outer garments, the ones that you wore closer to the skin. And those would have been soaking up the body oils and the grunge of the body that you really want to wash out. So all the body linens would go into the basin, along with kitchen towels and sheets and other linens like that. Okay, that was step 4, I think. We're only on 4. Okay, so everything's in the water now, and we're on to step 5, which required this really special tool over here. Does anyone have an idea what this was? If you have a guess, type it in. Let us know what you think. It maybe looks kind of familiar, right? It looks kind of like a plunger to me, except it's made out of metal. It's actually made out of galvanized tin. So that wouldn't work very well inside your toilet bowl. And actually I can see it has words on here, so let's read what it says. Made by C.T. Childers, Galesburg, Illinois, rapid washer. Do you see that? So maybe you remember the last time you did laundry and you turned the dial to the rapid wash cycle. This is your rapid washer. This is what you would use to agitate the clothing while it's in the basin, to move it around and get it really well scrubbed in that boiling water. It's pretty cool. They used to make these out of wood before they made them out of metal. And also at this point, if you had thrown all your garments in inside out to wash the insides first, you would at this point need to turn them back right side out and send them through a second rapid wash to make sure they got extra clean. All right, that was step 5. So now we're on to 6. What do you do next? So now we have all this soggy, soapy clothing, right? Okay, so step 6, we need to squeeze out the soapy water. And so you would actually use this right here to wring out the soapy water. This is called a mangle or a wringer. And I'll show you right on this side. You can see it has a crank, right? And so you would run a piece of cloth through these rollers right here and crank it. in order to wring out all of that soapy water. That was step 6. So then step 7, you're going to do that a second time for everything because you've just dumped it now in clean water, gotten all the soap out, and now you have to wring out all of that clean water. So that was step 7. Okay, so step 8. There's so many steps I lose track. Okay, step 8 was for your really, really grungy, grimy linens that needed an extra clean, maybe your sheets or the diapers. You would actually boil them in water using a pot like this one here. And you can maybe see right down here, this pot, which is an interesting oval shape so that it could have a maximum surface on the bottom for staying warm while you put it on your stove. And that's how you would boil the really grimy linens to get them super fresh. You might even put them in what's called a bluing bath, where you would add just a little bit of blue dye to counteract the natural yellowing of cloth. So that's how you would get them extra white. And because you wouldn't want to wait for the boiling water to cool off before you could take your linens out, you might use a pair of wooden tongs like these in order to pull them out of the bluing bath. All right, so that was step 8. We have a whole bunch of soggy clothes that have been wrung out. They're nice and clean. Step 9 is you're going to hang them out to dry. So right outside here on the porch or in the yard, you might have had a clothesline where you could hang all of the clothes to dry in the sun. But if it was a really rainy day like today, you'd want to use indoor drying racks, maybe like this one here. See this? This one kind of makes me think of an octopus because it has a bunch of different wooden pieces that come out like this. And on each one, you can hang one of your garments. So it's got about a dozen of these. This is one kind of indoor drying rack that you would have seen, but there were others. You might have also used something like this, which based on the shape of this, you can maybe guess what it was used for. This is a sock blocker or a sock stretcher. So at the time, in the Victorian era, all of our socks were made out of wool, right? And so you would want to make sure you stretched out your socks on something like this at the end of a wash so that they didn't lose their shape and get all shrunken and shriveled. They've got nice holes in here for air ventilation. It's kind of large though. I don't know if every sock blocker was this size. Okay, that was step 8. No, that was step 9. Okay, we're almost there. And you would think that we're done, right? We can now gather up all of our nice dry clothes. But actually there was a 10th step because that wasn't enough work. You would bring all those dry clothes in here. You would re-dampen them so that you could then iron them. And you would need a couple of sad irons like these. Right here. Okay, so these are 2 sad irons. They weigh about 5 to 10 pounds a piece. This one's more like 10. You would need several, right? Because while you were ironing with one, you would want the other one resting on the stove so it could get hot, so that you could continually switch back and forth. If you were really smart, you got one like this one with a detachable wooden handle. Do you see that? If my hand's not in the way. So that when you picked it up off the stove, it wouldn't scald your hand so badly. And why were they called sad irons? Anyone have any ideas why they're called sad irons, what that name comes from? Well, naturally, it's because they would make you sad because you'd be ironing all day. Just kidding. Actually, sad is an outdated word for solid and heavy. And you can tell just by me holding these for 30 seconds, I feel tired. Imagine ironing all day long. That would be a workout. Whew. Okay, so that was 10 steps to get everything clean. It's a lot of work and it's a long process. It sure gives me a sense for just a little bit of the huge amount of hard work that was required to keep this ranch going. and it makes me feel really grateful for everyone who's ever done laundry in my life, but especially if I was living back in the Victorian era. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you as an extra bonus sneak peek in this room. We have something special in this room, which is a water closet right over here. Okay, so it's right behind me. I know when I was a kid, and I would sometimes see on the door of restrooms the letters WC, and I was really confused. What does WC stand for? Well, now I know. It stands for water closet, which was an old word for a bathroom. Now we're going to go inside in a second, but I want to tell you how cool this is, because when this building was first built, in 1859, there was no water closet. There was no indoor plumbing, because how would you get water pressure? But later, when the Wilders moved in the late 1800s, they added this water closet along with this whole section of the house because D.D. Wilder had harnessed water power. The way that he did that was right when he purchased the ranch, he immediately constructed a reservoir. And it was a 500,000 gallon reservoir, which is just slightly smaller than an Olympic-sized swimming pool. So it was huge. And it was 210 feet above where we're standing right now, back up in the mountains. And so those 500,000 gallons of water would be conducted down 4,000 feet through a 7-inch pipe. And by the time it reached, ground floor right here, it would have had 95 pounds of pressure, which if you were trying to power the Pelton water wheel like they were over in the dairy, that would have been equivalent to 20 horses. So a lot of power was created. But what that water pressure also enabled them to do was to have water pressure in the house so that you could have, believe it or not, indoor plumbing, the luxury. And this was one of the things that they could create with that indoor plumbing. So let's take a look. You can see down here we have the throne, nothing too fancy. And then there's a pipe, right? So this is different than your toilet. A pipe that leads up to this tank up here where the water would have been held. And then I'm not sure if you can see this really well, but inside here there is a chain, okay? And so when you wanted to open up the valve, you would pull the chain and all the water would come rushing down to flush the toilet. Now, it wasn't like a little bit of water would come out, all of it would come out all at once. I can imagine that if you didn't know the chain was being pulled, that would be quite a surprise. And I don't know if you've heard the phrase yanking someone's chain, but it kind of makes me wonder if maybe this is where it came from. So, that right there is your sneak peek of the 1859 Gothic Revival farmhouse, especially taking a look at the practices of laundry and all of the hard work required in order to keep this ranch running and to keep everyone clothed. So I hope you enjoyed this little window into the Wilder Ranch. It's really been a pleasure for me to help bring your public lands to you right in your own homes. So thank you so much for joining me. If there are any other questions, I'll take a moment to allow you all to ask your questions. And otherwise, we'll start signing off. And I'm excited to tell you that we're going to be continuing to do these live stream tours. So if you want, you can watch past broadcasts posted on our Facebook page or tune in next Sunday for the upcoming installment of Hard Day's Work on the Ranch. Again, my name's Rewa. I'm a senior park aide at Wilder Ranch State Park. It's been really a pleasure to have you. We hope that you and your families get to come out and visit us in person sometime down the line. But in the meantime, all of the staff at the state parks are wishing you and your families well and hoping that you're staying healthy and safe. So, until next time, take care.